Today I'm standing in front of you simply as a woman with a personal story, but also as an advocate for something that I believe is the key for a better world. In the past 7 years, I have worked with countless nonprofits, NGOs, schools, and inspiring individuals across the world who work in the area of social development and human rights. And I've seen and experienced layer upon layer of compassion. And in my mind, I've always known that compassion is something that we should be striving towards. But it wasn't until 1 year ago that I truly understood how that compassion is possible. When I was 20 years old, I fell headfirst into a volatile, passionate, destructive, and damaging relationship. It lasted close to 2 years, and when it ended, so too did my faith in my intuition, my sense of self, my ability to be vulnerable, and my trust in a partner. Now, I never used to talk about this relationship to anyone because I was ashamed that it had happened. I thought it made me weak. So instead, I just locked it away. I walled it up inside me, and I decided it was a thing of the past, and I would not let it affect me. But of course, life just isn't that simple. And over the years and over relationships, there were these signs that showed that it did affect me. But I didn't understand them, and I didn't acknowledge them. Until I entered into a relationship with someone that I could trust. And suddenly my mind and my intuition engaged in this war. And these unexplained emotions would come to the fore, and they started to manifest into these physical symptoms. My mind would race, my heart would pound. I started having panic attacks for the strangest reasons. And my body would go into this fight or flight mode, and I just wanted to run away, where at the same time I just wanted to stay and figure it out. I was exhausted, and I felt like I was falling apart, and I realized then that I needed to figure out what was going on. So the first step, and often the most difficult, certainly the most difficult for me, and that was counseling. The next was the reading of countless articles to do with relationships and to do with abuse, and trying to get as much as I can to figure out what was happening. I started to open up to friends and family and talk about what had happened, and I started to delve deeper into these memories and feelings that I'd kept hidden behind this wall. And slowly I started to piece together what actually happened and why it had been so damaging. It was a hard process, but I began to find the courage to admit what I'd been hiding for over 10 years, and that's that I'd been traumatized and deeply affected by abuse. But within this personal journey, I made the most extraordinary discovery. I woke one morning crying uncontrollably from a nightmare filled with memories and aggression. And my sister was with me, and she soothed me, and she gave me chamomile tea, which I'm sure was doused with lots of rescue remedy. And she immediately said, "I'm booking you in for a full day of meditation at the spa." Now, it might sound lovely, a day of relaxation at the spa, but no, it was actually terrifying, because that meant a full day alone with my thoughts and my feelings. But my sister, she usually knows best, so I went and I stuck with it, and after many eternal minutes and hours, I began to relax into this space. And it was at that moment that I came across a book by Pema Chodron. And what happened next was a moment of absolute clarity, because in Pema's book, she explored this idea of suffering and how our personal suffering can help us to better understand the suffering of others. And this is how we find true empathy and compassion. Our pain is powerful, and it can be destructive, but it can be good because we can use it to connect to others. In Pema's own words, compassion is not a relationship between the healer and the wounded. Compassion is a relationship between equals. Only when we understand our own darkness well can we be one with the darkness of others. Compassion becomes real when we recognize our shared humanity. Because of what I've gone through, I'm now better prepared to help others. And suddenly I could put my pain into this global context. Abuse and violence are prevalent, and our experiences with it and the subsequent psychological trauma that it leaves are shaping who we are and our society. We're affected by it. We're shaped by it. We learn from it. And it makes us build these walls behind which we hide so much more than just our pain. I only need to look to the country where I was born and raised as an example of this. South Africa has suffered years of oppression and violence under a system that bred hatred and inequality. This year we celebrate our 20 years of freedom and democracy, which is fabulous, and it's only on account of outstanding amounts of forgiveness and compassion on a political and an individual level that that's been possible. But still, the statistics for violence and abuse are extremely high, and that's not going to change until we can break that cycle, until we can understand trauma and resolve it within society and within each of us. So today, because of what I've experienced, I can look at abuse across the world and I can understand the inner mechanism and I can see that cycle and how we become trapped in it. But I can also see this huge capacity for us to find compassion. It's not an easy journey. It takes effort, it takes healing, and it takes huge amounts of kindness towards ourselves. Each and every day I need to practice to be compassionate and open-hearted. But now I know how, and I know that I can, and I know that we all can. In the words of Archbishop Desmond Tutu, frequently people think that compassion and love are merely sentimental. No, they are very demanding. If you're going to be compassionate, be prepared for action. So today I want to tell you, don't be ashamed of the things you have suffered. We all suffer. We all have pain. Don't suppress it. Don't ignore it. Understand it, and most importantly, use it to help you understand and better help others. Thank you.